The complete story of the Hunger Games. The World of Panem. Introduction. The story is set in a post-apocalyptic nation called Panem, located in North America. Panem is divided into 12 districts and the wealthy capital. As punishment for a past rebellion, the Dark Days, the capital created the Hunger Games, an annual televised event where one boy and one girl, aged 12 to 18, from each district are chosen to fight to the death until only one remains. The Reaping. In District 12, we meet our protagonist, Katniss Everdeen. She is a skilled archer who hunts illegally to feed her mother and younger sister, Primrose. Joining her is her best friend, Gale. On the day of the Reaping, the lottery for the games, the unthinkable happens. Primrose's name is drawn. In an act of ultimate sacrifice, Katniss screams, "I volunteer as tribute," to save her sister. The male tribute is Peeta Mellark, the baker's son, who once saved Katniss's life by giving her Brent bread when she was starving. Training and the capital. Katniss and Peeta are whisked away on a high-speed train. Their team includes Haymitch Abernathy, a cynical drunk and the only living winner from District 12, Effie Trinket, the flamboyant capital escort, Cinna, Katniss's stylist, who creates the girl-on-fire persona that makes the audience love her. During a live interview with Caesar Flickerman, Peeta shocks the world by confessing his long-time love for Katniss. This creates the star-crossed lovers narrative, which Haymitch says will help them get sponsors, people who send life-saving gifts into the arena. The games begin. The tributes are placed in a massive outdoor arena. At the sound of the horn, the cornucopia, a bloodbath ensues. Katniss avoids the initial fight and flees into the woods. Key events in the arena. The fire. The game makers, the people controlling the arena, trigger a massive forest fire to force Katniss toward the other tributes. The carriers, a group of tributes from wealthy districts, districts 1, 2, and 4, who train their whole lives for this. Peeta is seen traveling with them, appearing to have betrayed Katniss. Rue. Katniss forms an alliance with Rue, a 12-year-old girl from District 11. They destroy the carrier's food supply. However, Rue is tragically killed by another tribute. Katniss honors her by singing to her and covering her body in flowers, a direct act of defiance against the capital. The rule change. To keep the audience entertained, the head game maker announces a rule change. 2 tributes can win if they are from the same district. Katniss searches for Peeta and finds him severely wounded. She nurses him back to health in a cave, playing up their romance to gain more sponsor gifts. The final showdown. Eventually, Katniss and Peeta are the last 2 remaining. Suddenly, the game makers revoke the rule change, demanding they fight each other. Instead of killing Peeta, Katniss suggests a double suicide using poisonous nightlock berries. Just as they are about to swallow the berries, the capital panics. They need a winner. They stop them and declare both Katniss and Peeta the victors. The aftermath. While the public celebrates, President Snow is furious. Katniss's act with the berries was seen as a spark of rebellion. Haymitch warns her that she is in grave danger. The story ends with Katniss and Peeta returning home, but the world of Panem has changed forever. The seeds of revolution have been sown.
The Hunger Games catching fire. The spark of rebellion. After winning the 74th Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark are back in District 12. However, life isn't peaceful. Because of their suicide stunt with the berries, the people in the district see Katniss as a symbol of hope, a mockingjay. President Snow visits Katniss personally. He threatens to kill her family and Gale unless she convinces the entire nation during her victory tour that her actions were driven by love, not rebellion. The Victory Tour. Katniss and Peeta travel through all the districts. In District 11, Rue's home, Katniss gives an emotional speech. An old man whistles Rue's tune and salutes. The peacekeepers immediately execute him in front of the crowd. Katniss realizes that no matter what she says, the fire of revolution has already started. The tour is a failure in Snow's eyes. The Quarter Quell, the twist. To destroy Katniss and the hope she represents, President Snow announces the 75th Hunger Games, known as the Third Quarter Quell. The rule: the tributes will be reaped from the existing pool of victors. Since Katniss is the only female winner from District 12, she must go back into the arena. Peeta volunteers to go with her to protect her. They are now fighting against careers and seasoned killers who have all won the games before. The Clock Arena. The new arena is a tropical jungle surrounding a saltwater lake. Katniss and Peeta form a large alliance with Finico Dyer, a handsome trident-wielding victor from District 4, Johanna Mason, a fierce axe-wielding rebel from District 7, and Beetee and Wyrus, genius inventors from District 3. They discover the arena is designed like a clock. Every hour, a new horror occurs in a specific slice of the arena, e.g. poisonous fog, killer monkeys, blood rain, and lightning. The master plan. Beatty devises a plan to electrocute the remaining career tributes by running a wire from a large tree, which gets hit by lightning every 12 hours, down to the saltwater lake. However, during the climax, the plan seems to go wrong. Katniss is separated from PETA and attacked. She realizes the true goal isn't just to kill the other tributes, it's to destroy the arena itself. Shattering the heavens. Instead of aiming for a tribute, Katniss attaches Beatty's wire to her arrow. As the lightning strikes the tree, she fires the arrow directly into the flaw in the force field at the roof of the arena. The massive surge of electricity causes the entire arena sky to shatter and collapse. Katniss is knocked unconscious as a hovercraft descends. The massive cliffhanger. Katniss wakes up on a ship. She finds Hamish and Finnick there. They reveal a massive secret. There was a plan all along. Most of the victors in the arena were part of a secret rebel alliance. They were protecting Katniss because she is the face of the revolution. They are heading to District 13, a district everyone thought was destroyed years ago. The heartbreak. Katniss asks where PETA is. Hamish admits that the Capitol captured PETA and took him back to the city. In the final scene, Gale tells Katniss that the Capitol retaliated for her escape. He says, "Katniss, there is no District 12. They bombed it to the ground." Katniss's face shifts from sadness to pure, vengeful rage. The war has begun.
The Hunger Games, the spark of rebellion. The false peace. The story picks up a few months after Katniss and PETA returned home. They are now rich, but Katniss is suffering from PTSD, haunted by the memories of the people she killed. President Snow makes a surprise visit to her house. He tells her that her stunt with the berries has inspired small uprisings in the other districts. He gives her an ultimatum. During the victory tour, she must convince the world that she acted out of love, not rebellion. If she fails, her family and the entire District 12 will be destroyed. The victory tour of terror. As Katniss and PETA travel from district to district, they see the brutality of the peacekeepers. In District 11, Katniss gives an emotional speech about Rue. An old man in the crowd whistles the Mockingjay tune and gives a salute. Immediately, the peacekeepers drag him out and execute him in public. Katniss realizes that she cannot stop the fire she started. No matter how much she pretends to be in love with PETA, the people see her as their leader, the Mockingjay. The announcement of the Quarter Quell. To celebrate the 75th year of the Games, the Capitol holds a Quarter Quell, a special edition of the Games with a cruel twist. President Snow announces the rule. The tributes shall be reaped from the existing pool of victors. This is a death sentence for Katniss. Since she is the only female winner from District 12, she is going back into the arena. PETA volunteers to go with her, determined to keep her alive this time, even if it costs him his life. Meet the new victors. Unlike the first games, these tributes are adults and experienced killers. Katniss meets Finnick O'Dyer, a charismatic and deadly victor from District 4. Joanna Mason, a sarcastic and fierce rebel from District 7. Beatty, a technical genius from District 3. Under Hamish's secret guidance, an alliance is formed. They realize that these games are a trap to kill off all the symbols of the rebellion. The Clock Arena. The arena is a tropical jungle with a saltwater lake in the center. It is designed like a clock. Every hour, a different horror occurs in a specific section. 12 o'clock, lightning strikes a massive tree. 1 o'clock, blood rain. 2 o'clock, poisonous fog. 3 o'clock, genetic mutant monkeys. The tributes must move from section to section to stay alive. Katniss and her allies fight off the Kara tributes while trying to figure out how to escape the arena. Shattering the sky, the climax. Beatty comes up with a plan to use the 12 o'clock lightning strike to electrocute the remaining enemies in the lake. However, during the chaos, Katniss realizes the real plan. She remembers Cinna, who was killed by the Capitol, and Hamish's words, "Remember who the real enemy is." Instead of shooting at the other tributes, Katniss ties a wire to her arrow. As the lightning hits the tree, she fires the arrow into the force field ceiling of the arena. The massive surge of electricity causes the artificial sky to explode and collapse. The ending, District 13. Katniss is rescued by a rebel hovercraft. She wakes up to find Hamish and Finnick. They reveal that District 13 actually exists underground and is leading a revolution. Most of the tributes in the arena were working together to save Katniss because she is the face of the war. But there is a heartbreaking twist. PETA was captured by the Capitol. The story ends with Gale visiting Katniss. He tells her, "Katniss, there is no District 12. They bombed it to the ground." The screen fades to black on Katniss's face, not as a victim, but as a warrior ready for war.
The Hunger Games, the Final Rebellion. 1.
The Ghost of District 12. The story begins with Katniss standing in the ruins of District 12. Everything is ash. She realizes that her home was destroyed as a message from President Snow. She is now living in District 13, a secret, highly militarized underground society led by President Alma Coin. 2. Becoming the Mockingjay. President Coin wants Katniss to be the official face of the revolution, the Mockingjay. At first, Katniss refuses, traumatized by the games. However, after seeing the Capitol's cruelty and seeing a brainwashed PETA on Capitol TV being used as a puppet, she agrees. Her condition? District 13 must rescue PETA and the other captured victors. 3. The Propos, Propaganda Wars. Instead of fighting in an arena, Katniss fights in Propos, short propaganda films shot in the middle of active war zones. She visits a hospital in District 8 filled with wounded people. When the Capitol bombs the hospital, Katniss shoots down their planes with explosive arrows. She looks into the camera and delivers her famous line, "Fire is catching, and if we burn, you burn with us." 4. The Rescue of PETA. A rebel team infiltrates the Capitol and rescues PETA. But when Katniss runs to hug him, PETA tries to strangle her to death. They discover the Capitol used hijacking, a form of torture using trackerjacker venom, to brainwash PETA into believing Katniss is a monster who must be killed. This breaks Katniss's heart. Her greatest ally is now her greatest threat. 5. The Final Mission, the 76th Hunger Games. The rebels launch a final assault on the Capitol. Katniss, a recovering PETA, Gale, and Finnick are sent in as a star squad. The Capitol has turned the entire city into a new arena filled with deadly traps called pods, mines, flamethrowers, and mutant creatures. Many of Katniss's friends, including Finnick, are killed during the brutal street fighting. 6. The Greatest Betrayal. As the rebels reach President Snow's mansion, a hovercraft with the Capitol seal drops silver parachutes, like sponsor gifts, onto a group of children. The parachutes explode, killing the children. Prim, Katniss's sister, who is there as a rebel medic, is killed in a second double-tap explosion. Katniss is devastated. The very person she volunteered to save in the beginning is now dead. 7. The Final Execution. After the rebels win, Katniss confronts a dying President Snow. He tells her a chilling truth. The bombs that killed Prim weren't his. They were designed by Gale and ordered by President Coin to make the Capitol look evil and end the war quickly. Katniss realizes that President Coin is just as power-hungry as Snow. At the public execution of Snow, Katniss aims her bow, but at the last second, she shoots President Coin instead. 8. Epilogue, A World Without Games. Katniss is acquitted of the murder due to her mental state. She returns to the ruins of District 12. Eventually, a healed PETA returns to her. The story ends years later. The Hunger Games are over, the arenas have been destroyed, and Panem is a democracy. Katniss and PETA have children. When Katniss feels the nightmares coming back, she plays a game in her head. She lists every good thing she has ever seen someone do. Closing line, it's like a game, a repetitive game. Even so, there are much worse games to play.
The Hunger Games, the Origin and the Legacy. The beginning of the nightmare. To understand why the Hunger Games became so cruel, we have to go back 64 years before Katniss Everdeen. We meet a young Coriolanus Snow. He isn't a powerful president yet. He is a poor student in the Capitol trying to save his family's reputation. The 10th Hunger Games. In these early games, the tributes were treated like animals, kept in cages at a zoo. Snow is assigned to mentor the girl tribute from District 12, a singer named Lucy Gray Baird. Unlike Katniss, Lucy Gray is a performer who uses her voice and charm to win the crowd. The invention of the games. During this story, we see how the features we know today were invented. Sponsorships. Snow suggests that viewers should be able to send gifts to tributes. The arena as a show. We see the transition from a simple coliseum to a high-tech trap. The philosophy. Snow's mentor, Dr. Gall, teaches him that the games exist because humans are naturally violent and need to be controlled by a strong hand. The betrayal. Snow and Lucy Gray eventually escape to the woods of District 12. However, Snow's paranoia takes over. He realizes he wants power more than love. After a mysterious confrontation in the woods, Lucy Gray disappears. No one knows if she died or escaped. This heartbreak and greed transforms Snow into the cold-hearted villain we saw in the previous parts. The legacy. What happened to the world?
Moving forward to the time after the war, post-Mockingjay, the YouTube audience always asks, what happened to Panem? The government, the Hunger Games were officially abolished. Panem became a republic where leaders are elected, not born into power. The districts, the walls between districts were torn down. People were finally allowed to travel and trade freely. The memorials, the arenas were turned into memorials to honor those who died. The survivor's life. Katniss and Peeta live a quiet life. They both carry physical and mental scars. Peeta still has moments where he has to ask, real or not real, to fight his brainwashing. Katniss still struggles with the loss of her sister, Prim. They eventually have 2 children, a girl and a boy. Katniss waits until they are older to tell them about the Mockingjay and the world that used to kill its own children for entertainment. The final lesson, closing the series. The story of the Hunger Games is a warning. It shows that power can corrupt anyone and that hope is the only thing stronger than fear. Closing lines for your video. From the first reaping of Katniss Everdeen to the fall of the Capitol, we have seen the cost of freedom. The fire that Katniss started didn't just burn down the Capitol, it forged a new world. But as Katniss says, we must always remember, because if we forget our history, we are doomed to repeat it. Thanks for watching this complete series breakdown.
The Hunger Games, Hidden Secrets and the Untold Lore. For 75 years, the Capitol told the world District 13 was a nuclear wasteland. In reality, it was a hidden underground fortress. The secret treaty. Why didn't Snow just nuke them? Because District 13 controlled the nuclear missiles. They had a Cold War standoff for decades. The pox. Years before Katniss arrived, a disease nearly wiped out District 13. This is why they are so obsessed with discipline and why they needed the other districts to rebel. They needed new people to survive. The dark side of District 4, the careers. We know Districts 1 and 2 are careers, but District 4, fishing, is also a career district. The exception. Finnick Odair won his games at just 14 years old, the youngest ever. The truth about Finnick. Behind his fame and beauty, the Capitol, President Snow, forced him into human trafficking, selling him to wealthy citizens. This is the dark secret he reveals to help the rebellion. The mystery of the mutations. The Capitol didn't just use soldiers, they used bioengineering. The wolf mutts. In the 74th Games, the wolves had the eyes and DNA of the dead tributes. This was a psychological torture for Katniss, seeing her dead friends as monsters. The jabberjays. These birds were used as spies to record rebel conversations. When the rebels found out, they fed the birds lies, leading to the Capitol abandoning them. The fate of the other victors. What happened to the winners of the other games? Out of the 75 victors, many were killed during the Quarter Quell or executed by Snow during the rebellion. By the end of the war, only 7 victors remained alive, including Katniss, Peeta, Haymitch, Annie, and Joanna Mason. They voted on one final Hunger Games for the Capitol's children. Katniss voted yes, only to gain President Coin's trust before killing her. The Hanging Tree origin. The song Katniss sang wasn't just a song, it was a rebel anthem with a dark history. It was written by Lucy Gray Baird from the prequel after she witnessed a man being hanged for a crime he didn't commit. The Capitol banned the song for 60 years because they knew it inspired people to stand up against authority. Why Katniss is the unintentional hero? A major secret of the series is that Katniss never wanted to lead a revolution. She just wanted to save her sister. Every time she did something heroic, she was usually just trying to survive or protect someone she loved. The rebellion happened because the people were ready and they just needed a face to follow. The future of Pan Am. Can peace last? The series ends with a democratic Pan Am, but the scars remain. The script should end by asking the audience, if another crisis happens, will Pan Am stay united or will they start the games again? This leaves your viewers thinking and encourages them to comment below.
The Hunger Games, the villain's mind and what if? The psychology of President Snow. To end this series, we must look at the man who ruled Pan Am with an iron fist. Snow wasn't just evil, he was a survivalist. His philosophy, Snow believed that without a strong, cruel leader, humans would destroy each other. He saw the Hunger Games as a necessary evil to keep order. His poison, Snow used poison to kill his political rivals, but to avoid suspicion, he drank from the same cup. He took the antidote, but the poison left permanent sores in his mouth. That is why he always wears a genetically modified rose to hide the smell of blood from his mouth. The tragedy of Haymitch Abernathy. Many viewers forget how Haymitch won his own games, the 50th Games. He won by using the force field of the arena as a weapon. Because he made the Capitol look like fools, President Snow ordered the execution of Haymitch's mother, younger brother, and girlfriend just weeks after his victory. This is why Haymitch became an alcoholic. He lost everything the moment he won. What if scenario? What if Prim was never reaped? This is a great segment for YouTube engagement. If Prim's name was never called, Katniss would have stayed in District 12. She likely would have eventually married Gale. However, the rebellion would have happened anyway because District 13 was already planning it. But without Katniss as the Mockingjay, the rebellion might have failed or been much more violent under President Coin's rule. The moral gray area, Gale versus Peeta. This segment compares the two men in Katniss's life. Gale represents fire. He is vengeful and willing to kill innocent people to win a war. He designed the bomb that killed Prim. Peeta represents dandelion, hope. He believes in staying human, even in a war. In the end, Katniss chooses Peeta because she doesn't need more fire. She has enough of that. She needs the dandelion in the spring, the symbol of rebirth. Why the happy ending is actually bittersweet. The series doesn't end with a happily ever after. Katniss and Peeta both have severe PTSD. They are survivors of a genocide. The children they have are born into a world where their parents' trauma is still fresh. It's a realistic look at the cost of war. Final thoughts, why we love the Hunger Games. Wrap up your 7-part series by explaining why this story still matters today. It's a story about media manipulation. It's a story about inequality, the rich capital versus the poor districts. Most importantly, it's a story about a girl who just wanted to save her sister and ended up changing the world.
The Hunger Games, the ultimate conspiracy. 1. The theory. Was the 74th game rigged? A popular fan theory suggests that the Capitol wanted Katniss to win from the beginning. The logic? The Capitol needed a new type of entertainment because the ratings were dropping. The evidence? Seneca Crane, the head game maker, gave Katniss an unusually high score of 11. This made her the immediate target and the star of the show. Was he secretly a rebel, or just a man looking for a better TV show? His execution later suggests he played with fire and got burned. 2. The mystery of Tigress. In Mockingjay, we meet a woman named Tigress who helps Katniss hide in the Capitol. The secret? In the prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, we find out that Tigress is actually Coriolanus Snow's cousin. The betrayal? She once loved him and took care of him when they were poor. The fact that she helps Katniss shows how far Snow fell. He even turned his own family against him. 3. The Peeta is a tribute killer theory. We see Peeta as the kind baker, but some fans point out a darker side. In the first games, Peeta joined the Careers. He claims he did it to protect Katniss, but he was present when several tributes were killed. Peeta is a master of manipulation and words. He managed to make the entire Capitol fall in love with him. Some argue that Peeta was just as dangerous as Katniss, but his weapon was his mind, not a bow. 4. The hidden meaning of names. Author Suzanne Collins chose names very carefully. Katniss, named after a plant with arrow-shaped leaves. Its roots are edible. As her father said, as long as you can find yourself, you'll never starve. Coriolanus, Snow, named after a Roman general who was a brilliant soldier but hated the common people. Panem comes from the Latin phrase panem et circumcens, bread and circuses. It refers to the Roman strategy of keeping the public happy with food and entertainment so they don't rebel against the government. 5. Why District 12 was special. District 12 was the smallest and poorest district, yet it produced the most influential rebels. The coal connection. Coal is carbon under pressure. Under enough pressure, it becomes a diamond. This is a metaphor for Katniss. The more the Capitol pressed down on her, the harder and more brilliant she became until she shattered their system. 6. The fate of the world outside Panem. One of the biggest mysteries is, what is happening in the rest of the world? Are there other countries? Is Europe or Asia still there? Most lore suggests that due to rising sea levels and nuclear wars, Panem is one of the few organized societies left. The rest of the world might be complete wilderness or ruins, which is why no one ever comes to help the rebels. 7. Series wrap-up, the message to the viewers. End your 8-part journey with a powerful message. The Hunger Games isn't just a movie or a book. It's a reflection of our world, the obsession with reality TV, the gap between the rich and the poor, and the power of a single voice. If Katniss Everdeen taught us anything, it's that you don't need to be a giant to take down a monster. You just need to be brave enough to hold up the mirror.
The Hunger Games, The Legend of Haymitch. 1. The Second Quarter Quell. To understand why Haymitch is the way he is, we have to go back 24 years before Katniss. It was the 50th Hunger Games, also known as the Second Quarter Quell. The twist? The Capitol demanded double the tributes.
Instead of 24, there were 48 children sent into the arena. 2. The deadliest beauty. The arena for the 50th Games was the most beautiful one ever made. It was a lush meadow with golden flowers and a sparkling forest. But it was a trap. The flowers were poisonous. The water was toxic. The squirrels were carnivores. Every single thing in that paradise was designed to kill. 3. Haymitch's strategy. A young 16-year-old Haymitch Abernathy didn't win by being the strongest. He won by being the smartest. While the careers were busy killing each other, Haymitch explored the edges of the arena. He discovered a force field at the very edge of the world. When he threw a rock at it, the rock bounced back. He realized that the force field would return anything that hit it with the same force. 4. The final battle. In the end, it was just Haymitch and a girl from District 1. She threw her axe at him. Haymitch didn't dodge it. He positioned himself so the axe would miss him and hit the force field. The axe bounced off the field and flew back, hitting the girl in the head, killing her instantly. Haymitch was the winner. 5. The Capital's revenge. The Capital was humiliated. They didn't want a clever winner who showed the arena had a limit. Because Haymitch turned the Capital's own technology against them, President Snow punished him. 2 weeks after Haymitch returned home, his mother, his younger brother, and his girlfriend were all executed. This is why Haymitch spends the next 24 years drinking, to forget the family he lost because he won. 6. The secret bond with Katniss. This part explains why Haymitch was so hard on Katniss. He saw himself in her. Like him, she was smart, defiant, and used the berries to trick the Capital. He wasn't just training her to win, he was training her to survive the president's wrath, which he failed to do for his own family. 7. The secret mystery. Was Haymitch part of the rebellion all along? In Catching Fire, we realize Haymitch was a leader in the secret underground rebel network. He had been planning the downfall of the Capital for years, using his position as a mentor to recruit other victors. He is the true architect behind the Mockingjay.
The Hunger Games, the secret stories of the fallen. 1. The mystery of Foxface, District 5. One of the most intelligent tributes in the 74th Games was the girl from District 5, nicknamed Foxface. The strategy: she never attacked anyone. She survived by stealing tiny amounts of food from the careers so they wouldn't notice. The conspiracy: some fans believe she committed suicide rather than being accidentally poisoned. She was smart enough to know which berries were nightlock. Many believe she chose to die on her own terms rather than be killed by Katniss or Cato. 2. Thresh, the silent giant, District 11. Thresh was the strongest tribute, but he refused to join the careers. The honor: he lived in the wheat fields of the arena. When he had the chance to kill Katniss, he spared her because she had befriended Rue. The untold death: in the movie, his death is quiet, but in the book, it's implied he had a massive final showdown with Cato. He fought to the very end to protect his territory, proving that even in the games, some people kept their humanity. 3. Clove and the dark side of District 2. Clove was the knife-throwing expert. She was one of the few tributes who actually enjoyed the games. The training: in District 2, children are raised in academies to believe that winning the Hunger Games is the greatest honor. The psychological warfare: she didn't just want to kill Katniss, she wanted to taunt her about Rue's death. This career mindset is what President Snow used to keep the districts divided, by making some children feel superior to others. 4. The forgotten victors. Before Katniss, there were 73 other winners. The Morphlings, District 6, 2 victors who won by hiding until everyone else was dead. They became drug addicts to Morphling to deal with the trauma. They sacrificed their lives in the Quarter Quell to save Peeta, showing that even the weakest victors were part of the secret rebellion. Wyrus, District 3, a genius who figured out the clock arena in Catching Fire. The Capital drove her to the brink of madness, but her intelligence was the key to Katniss's survival. 5. What if the tributes had teamed up? This is a great theory segment for your video. If the 24 tributes had refused to fight on day 1, the Capital would have likely bombed the arena. The games only work because the Capital convinces the children that their neighbor is their enemy. Katniss and Peeta were the first to prove that the real enemy is the one sitting in the president's chair. 6. The Avox, the people with no tongues. Throughout the series, we see servants in the Capital called Avoxes. These are rebels or traitors whose tongues were cut off as punishment.
Katniss recognizes one, a girl she saw being captured in the woods of District 12 years ago. This shows that the Capitol's cruelty isn't just for the districts, they turn their own criminals into silent slaves.
The Hunger Games, the high-tech terror. The mastery of bioengineering, mutations. The Capitol doesn't just use guns, they use biological weapons called mutts. Trackerjackers. These are genetically modified wasps. Their venom is designed to cause extreme hallucinations and target the fear center of the brain. They were used to brainwash PETA. The wolf mutts. As we discussed before, these were created using the DNA of fallen tributes. Imagine the horror of fighting a wolf that has the eyes of your dead friend. The lizard mutts. In the final battle of Mockingjay, these pale, human-like creatures were sent into the sewers. They could hiss Katniss and were faster than any human. The force fields. The Capitol's force fields are almost invisible, but deadly. The arena dome. The entire arena is covered in a massive force field that simulates weather, day, and night. The weakness. As BT and Katniss discovered, these fields have a chink or a glitch. When the force field is hit by a massive surge of electricity, like lightning, it collapses, revealing that the sky was just a giant screen. The Game Maker's control room. How do they change the weather or move the ground? The arenas are built with massive underground machinery. The head Game Maker has a holographic map where they can trigger events, fire, floods, or beast attacks with a single touch. This shows that the tributes are literally like characters in a video game, controlled by a player in the Capitol. The hovercrafts and the claw. Whenever a tribute dies, a hovercraft appears almost instantly. They use the claw to pick up the body. These ships are equipped with active camouflage, making them completely invisible to the people in the districts. This is how the Capitol spies on everyone without being seen. The architecture of the Capitol. The Capitol is built in the Rocky Mountains. This location was chosen because the mountains provide a natural defense. The pedestrian traps, pods. During the war, the streets of the Capitol were filled with pods, hidden sensors that when triggered would release fire, bombs, or waves of oil. The city itself became a giant Hunger Games arena. The medical wonders. The Capitol's medicine is hundreds of years ahead of ours. They can regrow skin, heal shattered bones in hours, and even change a person's physical appearance completely, like Tigris, who looks like a tiger. However, they refuse to share this technology with the districts, keeping them sick and weak to prevent a rebellion. The Hunger Games, the real history behind the horror. 1. The myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. The biggest inspiration for the story comes from Greek mythology. The legend. In ancient times, the city of Athens was forced to send 7 symbols and 7 maidens to the island of Crete every year. They were thrown into a labyrinth, a maze, to be eaten by a monster called the Minotaur. The connection. Author Suzanne Collins said this myth stayed with her. The districts are like Athens, the capital is like Crete, and the Hunger Games are the labyrinth. Katniss is the Theseus who enters the maze to kill the system. 2. Bread and circuses, Panem at Circenses. As we touched on before, the name of the country, Panem, comes from the Roman phrase Panem at Circenses. The history. Roman emperors knew that if they gave the poor people free food, bread, and violent entertainment, gladiators, the people would never rebel. The connection. President Snow does the exact same thing. He keeps the Capitol citizens obsessed with fashion and the show of the games so they don't notice the suffering of the world. 3. Roman gladiators in the arena. The tributes are modern-day gladiators. The career tributes. In Rome, some gladiators were volunteers who trained their whole lives for the fame and glory. These are exactly like the careers from Districts 1, 2, and 4. The execution. Just like the Roman Colosseum, the Hunger Games arena is a place where death is turned into a televised sport for the entertainment of the wealthy. 4. The reality TV and Iraq War inspiration. Suzanne Collins came up with the idea while channel surfing. She saw people competing on a reality TV show and then flipped the channel to see footage of the Iraq War. The images blurred together in her mind. This is why the Hunger Games feels like a mix of a talent show, interviews, costumes, fans, and a war zone. 5. Dictators and the White Rose. The character of President Snow is a mix of several historical dictators. The strategy?
Using poison to kill rivals and then smelling like roses to hide the scent of blood is a very old-world royal tactic. The message? The story warns us that history repeats itself. If we allow a government to have too much power and we become obsessed with violent entertainment, we are moving closer to becoming a real-life Panem. 6. The salute as a symbol of resistance. The three-finger salute in the movie became so powerful that it was actually used in real-life protests in countries like Thailand and Myanmar. This shows that the Hunger Games isn't just a story, it's a symbol for anyone fighting against an unfair government.